Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for October 10th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Friday edition. I don't necessarily think it's a feel-good Friday. Not feeling good. This is quite possibly the worst week in Philly sports history. I mean, I think I have a good idea for another special segment coming up later this year, the worst weeks in Philly sports history. But starting Saturday with game one, going all the way through to the end of the Eagles game last night, not a good week. Not a good week at all. I mean, I'll be honest, probably going to be a shorter podcast today. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to kind of rehash everything that happened, but 2-1 loss for the Phils, and I got to be honest, I thought it was a great game. It was entertaining. The Phillies played great defense for the most part. They were making some decent plays out there that we haven't really seen them make all year. The pitching staff was outstanding until the end. I mean, that was, you got to feel bad for Orion Corcoran, but yeah, that's just a fundamental play, and that's something that has dogged this team all year and truthfully throughout the past few years. And I guess I don't know if you can blame 100% of that on the manager. I don't know, because I'm kind of seeing it now with some of my son's baseball. A lot of the fundamentals seem lost. And I don't know if it's because everybody is into like travel and things like this. This is a way off topic rant. I don't even know how I'm getting to this. This is not in my notes, but it seems like the fundamentals are lost with players today. Situational awareness. There's no way that Kirkering should even been thinking of throwing that ball home. And I don't know whether he panicked because he bobbled it somewhat, but that play was at first base. And if he made a good throw, okay, you had a shot to get him. It still would have been a bang play. JT likely, based on the replay I saw, would have been called for out. The runner would have been safe for blocking the plate. That play has to go to first. So I think it was a fundamental thing. But bottom line is, with or without that play, your offense got 4 hits in 11 innings. That you're not going to win that way. And game 3 was just an anomaly. And that is what this team's MO is. And I'm not big on moral victories, especially for a team that won 96 games and had World Series or bust expectations. Maybe in a week or so, I'll be able to be like, yeah, it was a good season. But nah, I mean, it's no different than what it was. I really expect for there to be some big changes. What that means, I don't know. I have a feeling that they'll likely bring Schwarber back, with which I'm okay with. Castellanos, who for all his warts and for being an idiot when it comes to just getting the mindset of Philly fans, he played pretty well. I mean, I will have to give him that. I mean, he did play pretty well. I'll have more on this once I get time to process it. It's been a long week. Stayed up late multiple times this week to watch these games, but I don't know, man. And you see I'm wearing my Sixers hat. This team reminds me a lot of the Sixers, just coming up small when they matter the most. But 4 hits, like that is what is going to be the That's why they lost. And that's why they always lose. And listen, this is not to take anything away from the Dodgers. I know I was going back and forth with people on TikTok earlier this week. Dodgers are a great team. The Phillies lost to a great team. And really, all four of those games in this series were decent games. The Phillies were in it in game one, should have won, and credit to the Dodgers for being a good team. Phillies had it in game two. They battled back. I will say this team, they did show some heart in this series. They did battle back. They did play hard. Both teams. This was two great teams. This would have been a great NLCS. It's a shame that the way the standings and everything played out, that this was an NLDS game. But 2-1. There will be no game on Saturday. And we move on. Lots of questions this offseason, and as the offseason progresses, we'll get into that. But I can't even say congrats on a good season right now. It stings too much. But to lose like that, man, and you got to feel bad for Orion Kerkering. And again, I cannot put that on him. He was obviously upset about it, but it just fundamentals, man. Fundamentals. It's a lost art. So if you're a Little League coach, go back to the fundamentals. Situational baseball. I have not, and this is, again, not a shot to anybody coaching and anything, but they're not teaching the fundamentals. Like, my son has learned more going to private lessons than he has with the coaches. And granted, they're parents, and I'm sitting here talking my trash, and I could be out there coaching too, and I get it. But I just feel like this is a fundamental thing, and I don't know whether you can't put all that teaching fundamentals. By the time they get to the major leagues and Rob Thompson, they should know the fundamentals. Is it a Phillies organizational thing? I don't know. It's just, man, what a way to lose. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, turn on the Eagles game, and they're down 20-17 at halftime. Couple bonehead plays here or there in the first half, but it looked like they were moving the ball well. And then once again, I'm sick of saying this phrase. And if you watch the Brotherly Birds breakdown with Kyle, I say it every week. There's three consistents we do on that podcast. Kyle's 2 cents, the tale of two halves, and cornerback 2. And all three of them showed up this week, because Kyle's 2 cents, if you listen to the podcast, was about this team and somebody stepping up, and there was no offense in the second half. They were moving the ball. Jalen threw the back-breaking interception, but this was a game that the defense was struggling. You had Jalen Carter out. Quinyon Mitchell went out. Keely Ringo might as well have been out. That dude, if he should have walked home down the Jersey Turnpike for as bad as he played. Was benched, and then unfortunately due to the injury had to come in. But Howie, you should be up nonstop making calls to somebody, whether it's a trade, whether it's you bring Asante Samuel Jr., who's still out there, and I don't know, but Keely Ringo needs to be off of this team. Just brutal. The offensive line, first half gave decent protection on passing, but they had some good runs. But second half, that Giants have a good defensive line. The Lane Johnson said apparently after the fact that the offense needs to be more efficient and less predictable. Are we back on this again? And as long I've been kind of downplaying it and putting it aside and not wanting to acknowledge it, but this has 2023 vibes all over it, man. And maybe this is just me being down because of the way the past week has played out for our teams, but they were out physicaled. They're winning with smoke and mirrors. This is 2023, and maybe I was in denial. Maybe I didn't want to accept it, but you can't lose that game to the Giants the way you did. Like, if you'd have lost it in a close game, okay, fluky things happen. It's a divisional game. They have a good defense. But to lose by 17 points to the New York Giants, I mean, Cam Scatterbo, I like him as a player. I hate that he's on the Giants. Jackson Dart, I said when they drafted him, I think he's going to be a player, and he showed that, man. He took advantage. Uh, the defense let him run all over the place. He plays with passion. He plays with fire. They're going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem, but you can't get out physical like the way they did as the defending Super Bowl champions. It was just brutal, absolutely brutal. Um, I don't even know what to say. I'm sick of saying it's the tale of two halves. Um, Jalen missed some throws. That interception was egregious. I get it though. You're down, so you have to push. Um, it 2024 is over, man, and I unfortunately I'm getting 2023 vibes from this team, and it just you can't. I don't know. The Eagles, talent wise, on paper, they are a far better team than the New York Giants. The New York Giants had one thing last night the Eagles didn't, and that was some heart. They came in there. They wanted to show the. I don't even know if you count Amazon Prime as the national audience or whatever, but they came out with something to prove, and they showed. Jackson Dart announced his arrival last night, and I thought that Vic Fangio would be able to confuse him. I thought he'd be able to exploit him, and kudos to them, man. They did they are the ones that exploited us. They're the ones that showed us or showed the America or the Amazon Prime audience or I don't whoever was watching how to beat the Eagles. And luckily, maybe the short week wasn't a good thing. Luckily, they have 10 days to get it right for Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy likely coming back for that game. But they're not beating anybody if they play like that. Just, man. And usually we do the GOAT of the game. I don't think there was really anyone worthy of being the GOAT of the game except for one person. So I'm going to name the GOAT of the game. Going to do something different, and it was Dallas Goedert. Really the only one that showed up consistently. But if you need it, I'll be on the golf course today. 267-495-8531. That is the Back to the Future voice and text line. That's Therapy Friday. Get it out. Get your aggressions, your frustrations, whatever you want. Get it out on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Shout out, I wanted to mention this. John Ziegler, who mentioned or commented on my Black Friday post from the other day, said he was there. And he was like, we're going to call this one Blue Monday because of the Dodgers and the Giants beating them. And I like that. It was a very blue week. Just brutal. Absolutely brutal. But hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. It's vent. Let's vent. Let's commiserate in our misery together. Flyers. Speaking of moral victories, I'll take that. 2-1 loss to the defending champs. They had it 1-1 after 2. Noah Cates with the only goal for the Flyers. But Dan Vladar, I think it's Vladar or Vladar, in goal, played phenomenal. Not sure. I don't want to do this because we tend to do this all the time with the Flyers. Not going to anoint him as the goalie of the future, but some positives there. 32 saves against the two-time defending champs. Good win for the Flyers. They open up next week at home for the home slate, but Flyers right now, the only game in town, so let's get flyered up. Be sure to follow me on social media at Philly Jimbo on all social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Jimbo_Mont and continue to spread the word as it's gonna be a long off season. It's gonna be a long rest of the Eagles season apparently too. I just don't know where to go with that. This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, a growing community of diehard fans turning their sports passion into something special. Whether you're looking for unique shows Want to launch your own podcast but don't have the time or need production services? The ClashingConferences.com has everything you need. Explore fan-driven content, become a member, or tap into their media services to level up your brand. That's ClashingConferences.com, where fans' voices get heard. All right, October 10th. It's a little different today. I had a theme going. I expected a much different vibe today. So it's not going to hit the way I anticipated when I planned it out. But first, let's go back to 1988. The Eagles were playing the Giants on Monday Night Football at the Vet. Randall Cunningham was ready for prime time. Jalen Hurts wasn't last night, but Randall Cunningham certainly was. Threw for 369 yards, 3 touchdowns, including one to Jimmy Giles, where he did his very best Elastic Man impersonation. This is the Carl Banks where he was coming after Cunningham, dove at him, and Cunningham somehow just leaped out and was able to avoid the tackle, threw it 5 yards to Jimmy Johnson, threw one to Keith Byers, and then an 80-yarder to seal the game to Carl Banks, or not to Carl Banks, to Chris Carter. I can't read my own writing, and that's just kind of the way the day has been going for Philly sports. But the Eagles pull off the win on Monday Night Football, thanks in part to Randall Cunningham, who we talked the other day about the dive over the top against the Giants. This was another one of those iconic Randall Cunningham plays where all we see is, like, whatever you talk about Randall Cunningham, this is one of those plays that you always talk about, one of his most famous plays. But Eagles beat the Giants on Monday Night Football thanks to Randall Cunningham. Too bad that it was not meant to be for this year's team, but the Eagles win it 24-13. But the defense played well. Shut down Phil Simms and the Giants. And these were always fun battles. Last night's game was not fun. I'm sorry. I keep going back to last night. But Eagles beat the Giants 24-13 on Monday Night Football. Randall Cunningham, Elastic Man impersonation. Fast forward to 1999. Eagles scored 13 points in the fourth quarter against the Cowboys, including a 28-yard touchdown pass from Doug Peterson to Charles Johnson, rest in peace, to give Andy Reid his first NFL win, 13-10 over the Dallas Cowboys on this day in 1999. Andy would go on to win and still is coaching. So far, 275 regular season wins and counting, including 28 more in the playoffs. In Philly, he's won 130, including 10 in the playoffs. He is the all-time winningest coach in Eagles history, but he got win number 1 on this day back in 1999 when Doug Peterson found Charles Johnson in the end zone on a 28-yard touchdown. Go to 2008. Phillies win Game 2 of the NLCS against the Dodgers 8-5. Brett Myers pitched 5 innings but had 3 hits and 3 RBI, becoming the first player in LCS history to have 3 hits. Shane Victorino had 4 RBIs. The Phillies go up 2-0 on the Dodgers, heading back out to LA. And then 2 years later, in 2010, Cole Hamels pitched a complete game shutout, striking out 9. Chase Utley hit a solo shot as the Phillies complete the sweep of the Cincinnati Reds in the NLDS. It was the first sweep in Phillies postseason history. Chase Utley's home run was his 10th postseason career home run, which set the team record, which has now been broken. Now that record is held solely by Kyle Schwarber, thanks in 2 to the that he hit the other night. But that's what happened on this day in Philly sports history. Again, it was supposed to be a different theme. Had the Giants in there, the Dodgers in there. But Blue Thursday, I like it. All right, our number 1 Phillies postseason moment, and again, this hits differently now, but is and always will be, at least for one more year, the final out of the 2008 World Series Game 5. After a day and a half rain delay, the game resumed in the bottom of the 6th. Jeff Jenkins, most of the best moments in this game and best plays happened after the restart, after the rain delay. But Jeff Jenkins led it off with a double. Jason Worth knocked him in. Then you had Chase Utley's fake throw that saved a run. Because I think what happened is people tend to forget the Phillies took the lead, but then the Rays came right back. And if it wasn't for Chase Utley's fake throw, that game would have been a 2-run game, and who knows what would have happened. But one of the best throws, or best plays, I guess you could say, in World Series history. And then it all led to Pat the Bat with the double. Would have been awesome if that ball would have been 2 inches further and would have gone out. Eric Bruntlett pinch ran and scored. And then, of course, the Brad Lidge moment, striking out the side. You can still hear the Harry Kalas call. Falling to his knees, Chooch running out, Ryan Howard running in, Chase Utley doing his little thing, and then Shane Victorino with the belly flop at the end. But that is our top 10 Phillies postseason moment. Did not anticipate that the final postseason moment would happen right after the final postseason game for the Phillies this year, but there we have it. So, today's trivia question. Who knocked in that game-winning run in Game 5 of the World Series for the Phillies? Often we forget about this guy, but who knocked in the game-winning run for the Phillies in Game 5 of the World Series? All right, and I should mention this. Yesterday's trivia answer, I asked you who are the top 5 Flyers and career leaders in points. That would be Bobby Clark, Claude Giroux, Bill Barber, Brian Propp, and Rick McLeish. Who McLeish is the guy that everybody forgot about when they were making their guesses yesterday. So thank you to everybody who reached out. But today's trivia question, who knocked in the game-winning run in the 2008 World Series?
It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday, only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
That's right. It is time for Fridays with AI. And today, in honor of Andy Reid's first ever victory in the NFL, kind of a retrospective on Andy Reid. And I decided to ask AI, what would happen if the Eagles didn't hire Andy Reid? Remember, it was a controversial pick. He impressed them with his organizational skills and the big binder he brought into the interview. But what if they went in a different direction? What would the last 25 years of Eagles football look like? So first and foremost, AI broke it down into years, I guess, or year spans. So first and foremost, from 1999 to 2002, AI said the Eagles likely would have gone with Chris Palmer, who was still an offensive-minded coach. He ended up going to Cleveland, where nobody succeeds in Cleveland. Said they likely would have still drafted Donovan McNabb because they would have wanted to get the quarterback. And with Tim Couch going to the Browns, likely would have still ended up with McNabb. But it wouldn't have amounted to much. Palmer would have been fired by 2002 with only one playoff appearance, a wild card loss in 2002 or 2001. And then from 2003 to 2005, they hired Tom Coughlin, the old Giants coach, who brings in Mike Zimmer as defensive coordinator and Dirk Cutter as offensive coordinator. Excuse me. And instead of going after T.O., they bring Jimmy Smith in to play for the Eagles with Donovan McNabb. He had the connections with Tom Coughlin from his time in Jacksonville. They do get it together. The offense starts getting going. It was a defensive-minded team. They make it to the NFC Championship game in 2004 before losing to Carolina. Then you have 06 to 2010. Ultimately, McNabb gets traded to the Arizona Cardinals because of clashes with Tom Coughlin and just disagreements over the way the offense should be run. And this sends the organization into a tailspin. They end up drafting Brady Quinn to be Donovan's replacement, and it's not good. Andy Reid eventually ends up with the New York Giants as their head coach, and in 2003 leads the Giants to a Super Bowl victory. It's pretty fitting right now the way things are going in Philly. And then that leads to the 2010s where AI essentially said They are Browns East. The Eagles become the doormat of the NFC. The lone bright spot was 2017 when Jim Schwartz, who was the head coach, leads them to the playoffs, but they lose in the wild card. Brings us to the 2020s. Lincoln Riley is the head coach. Ends up drafting Hurts, not for the reasons that the Eagles end up drafting Hurts, but he wants to run a college-style offense a la Chip Kelly in the pros. So Jalen Hurts does actually get them to the Super Bowl in 2023, losing to the Chiefs, who were coached by Andy Reid and offensive coordinator Doug Peterson. So Andy, like I said, still ends up in KC, but pretty bleak for the Eagles if they don't hire Andy Reid, according to AI. And I don't necessarily disagree. I really don't. So what are your thoughts on that? Let's have some fun because we don't have any teams that make us have fun today. So let's talk about what could have been and just wallow in our misery. Think about how bad it would have been without Andy Reid. But that is Fridays with AI, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Check out their selection. I'm sure there's going to be some good ones coming up. That you have, obviously, we all have the toxic relationship with Philly sports. You can support some charities. You can buy Devin's Philly Fanatic shirt. You can buy the Cruck Around and Find Out shirt to benefit the Battle Brothers. But go to Philly Goat. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right. On this day in 2010, Phillies complete the sweep of the Reds thanks to a strong pitching performance from Cole Hamels. 2008, they go up 2-0 on the Giants, thanks in part to Brett Myers helping himself out at the plate and Shane Victorino knocking in 4 runs. Andy Reid gets his first victory in the NFL, the first of so far 275 and counting, as the Eagles scored 13 points in the fourth quarter to beat the Cowboys 13-10. And then in 1988, Eagles beat the Giants on Monday Night Football 24-13. Randall Cunningham does his Elastic Man impersonation when Carl Banks tried to sack him. One of the best plays I've ever seen. One of my favorite Randall Cunningham highlights, hitting Jimmy Giles in the back of the end zone for a 5-yard score. All right, Temple Owls play Navy, 10.5-point underdogs. If they hit that, if they get a win, we will hit that bet early in the season, but not a lot to look forward to. It's going to be a rainy Sunday. There's no football. Hopefully your fantasy teams are doing well. I'm 0-5 in my big money league. Yeah. It's been a rough 6 weeks for your boy. But I'll have more on this as I have time to process it. I literally went to bed 5 hours ago. So haven't really had time. This is all off the cuff, but bottom line is the Eagles came out uninspired, not ready to play. Maybe it's a short week, but I hate to say this, but I'm getting 2023 vibes. And I've been trying to will it and talk myself out of it. And then you got the Phillies. You can't get 4 hits. It doesn't matter what happens. And you don't put that on Kirk Green. Like, yeah, that was the play. But again, like I always say, if you're going to get mad and have it come down to one play, that means you didn't do enough. And 4 hits is certainly not enough. All right, we'll be back Monday, hopefully in a slightly better mood. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for October 10th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Friday. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll be back Monday to rewind the weekend. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.